A poor single dad takes job as a cleaner. Never thought his millionaire CEO would fall for him first. The clock ticked past midnight, its steady rhythm slicing through the sterile silence of the 25th floor office like a surgeon's scalpel. The hum of fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a cold white glow across gleaming marble floors and walls lined with framed certificates, awards, and cityscape artwork. Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city sprawled in restless stillness. Highways, now ghost veins, cars crawling like flickering embers in the dark. Rachel Archer hadn't left her desk in hours. Stacks of manila folders surrounded her laptop like a paper fortress, unread emails pinged in the corner of her screen, and a half-drunk cup of black coffee sat long cold. Her perfectly tailored blazer had long since been discarded over her leather chair. Her white blouse clung to her back, damp with tension. Her spine ached from the hours of hunched focus, and yet she couldn't stop, couldn't move, couldn't leave, because the moment she did, silence would become a memory, and memory hurt. She rubbed the bridge of her nose, eyes burning from staring at spreadsheets and legal contracts for too long. With a sigh, she leaned back and allowed her gaze to drift out the window, toward the jagged horizon of glass and steel that mirrored her own life. Sharp, polished, impenetrable. That's when she saw it. A shadow. A man standing dangerously close to the edge of the rooftop terrace. Her body reacted before her mind could catch up. The adrenaline hit her chest like a thunderclap. She shoved her chair back and sprinted toward the emergency exit. The stairwell echoed with the slap of her heels as she threw the heavy door open. A blast of frigid air smacked her face. "Hey!" she shouted, voice cracking. "What the hell are you doing out there?" The figure turned. He wasn't on the edge, yet, but close enough that a strong wind or a misstep could have ended everything. He wore blue coveralls, janitorial. A faded name tag clung to his chest. A rag hung over his shoulder, gloves tucked into his belt. His posture was calm, not panicked. Rachel stepped onto the terrace, heart pounding in her ears. The man turned slowly, his face lit by the dim orange glow of streetlights 25 stories below. He blinked at her as if emerging from a trance, then gave a bewildered smile. "She's waiting for me," he said softly. Rachel froze. "Who's waiting?" He didn't answer at first. He lifted his chin toward the street. Rachel followed his gaze. There, directly below them, stood a tiny figure on the sidewalk. A little girl in a pink jacket, no more than 5, clutching a stuffed rabbit so worn its ears drooped unevenly. Beside her, an older woman stirred a chestnut cart, its glow painting them in golden light. The girl waved, bright, eager, expectant. Rachel blinked. The ache in her chest was sharp. The man turned back to the glass, exhaled slowly onto the surface, and with a trembling finger drew a shape in the fog. A lopsided cat. The girl leapt up and clapped, delight radiating upward as if joy could defy gravity. Rachel's throat closed. "You do this every night?" He nodded. "It's our game. She guesses what I draw, keeps her company while I clean." Rachel inched closer to the railing, arms folded tight against the cold. The wind whipped at her hair, but she hardly noticed. "That's kind of beautiful," she said quietly. He glanced at her, eyes the color of worn denim, faded but deep. "She thinks it's magic." "Maybe it is." A silence fell between them, thick and intimate. The city roared far below, but up here it was just the two of them, and one little girl anchored to the earth by love. "If my child had lived," Rachel whispered suddenly, her words stolen by the wind before she could take them back. The man turned. He didn't speak, just saw her, her pain, her story, buried beneath layers of tailored armor and executive detachment. "What's her name?" Rachel asked, voice steadier now. "Lily," he replied, with a smile that softened his tired features. 5 years old, no daycare, can't afford it. My sister's too far. The office won't allow kids during cleaning hours. Mrs. Wan down there keeps her safe. She's good people." Rachel's lips parted. "You work the night shift?" "Whatever shift lets me pick Lily up from school and be there when she sleeps," he said with a shrug. "Cleaning pays enough to get by. Used to be a painter." "An artist?" He nodded. "Illustrator, children's books, back when dreams still paid rent." She studied him, broad shoulders slightly slouched, hands calloused, eyes ringed with fatigue, but clear. "And now you draw cats in steam," she said, more to herself. His laugh was soft, sheepish. "She loves cats, thinks I've got some kind of secret art power. So, I let her believe it." Rachel stepped forward, closer than she meant to, her arms finally dropping to her sides. "I'm Rachel," she said. "I know," he said simply. "You're the CEO." She raised an eyebrow. "And you are?" "Just a cleaner," he replied. No shame, no sarcasm, just the truth. The wind carried another burst of cold between them, slicing through the night like memory. But neither moved, and for the first time in years, Rachel didn't feel like a fortress, and he didn't feel invisible. Rachel wasn't used to lingering. In her world, every second had purpose. Efficiency was currency. Yet for the third night in a row, she found herself stalling. She stayed late, long after the emails were answered and the contracts signed. She told herself it was to finish projections, to prep for investor calls, but deep down, she knew. She was waiting to hear the soft rumble of a cleaning cart in the hall, waiting to glimpse him, Joseph. He didn't talk much unless spoken to, but when he did, there was something disarmingly real in his words, like he hadn't learned how to lie to protect himself, like most people did. That evening, she leaned against her office doorway as he polished the glass with his usual quiet grace. "You always draw?" she asked casually. He looked up, surprised, then chuckled. "Started with smiley faces. Now it's stars. Lots of them." "Stars?" She stepped into the corridor, folder still in hand. "Yeah, Lily's obsessed with the sky. Says when I draw stars, she feels brave." Rachel smiled faintly. "She knows you used to be an artist?" "Not really," Joseph said, wiping the glass slowly. "She thinks I painted the sky once. I didn't correct her." Rachel leaned against the wall, arms folded. "What kind of art did you do?" He paused, thoughtful. "Freelance illustration. Children's books, mostly. Space rabbits, rain-cloud dragons, dancing moons. I was close to landing a big publisher." She studied him, intrigued. "Why'd you stop?" His hand froze mid-wipe. A silence stretched out before he answered. "My wife, Anna, was my biggest cheerleader," he said softly. "We had plans, studio, gallery, a real life. Then, one rainy Tuesday, car crash. She never made it home. I was flipping pancakes with Lily when I got the call." Rachel's breath caught. He wasn't dramatic. He didn't wallow in the pain. But his voice, low, steady, held a depth of loss that shook her. "Everything fell apart after that," Joseph continued. "Commissions dried up. I couldn't focus. People stopped calling. Dreams don't buy diapers or pay rent. So I cleaned. It was something stable, predictable." She hesitated, then gently asked, "Do you still draw?" "Just for you." He reached into the side pouch of his cart and pulled out a worn sketchbook wrapped in rubber bands. His fingers brushed it like it was fragile, sacred. I drew for her, he said, handing it over. Rachel opened the sketchbook slowly. Page after page bloomed with wonder. Crayon-colored skies, trees with faces, smiling monsters dancing with tiny humans. One page was scribbled on clumsily with a child's hand, purple hearts and shaky stick figures. Rachel smiled. These are incredible, she whispered, full of life, of love. Joseph gave a half shrug, half smile. They make her laugh. That's what matters. Rachel looked up at him, the sketchbook still open in her hands. Why don't you publish again? He met her gaze. Because Lily's dinner is more important than a book deal that might never come. Because sometimes surviving takes precedence over dreaming. The words landed heavy in her chest. She closed the sketchbook gently, as if returning something sacred to the world. Your daughter's lucky, she murmured. I'm the lucky one, Joseph said, his eyes soft. The next night, Rachel stayed late again. This time, when she heard the familiar squeak of the squeegee, she rose without hesitation and walked to the window. Joseph stood outside, as always, tracing a shape in the fog. A star, then a smiley face with a missing tooth. Their eyes met through the glass. The moment held. Rachel walked to the door and opened it. Joseph, she called softly, come in, just a break. He hesitated, unsure. You sure? I made tea, she said, stepping aside. He entered slowly, removing his gloves. She poured him a cup and gestured to the armchair across from her desk. It was the first time anyone else had ever sat there. He held the tea with both hands, warming them. Nice office. It's a cage, she replied. A pretty one. He glanced around. Minimalist shelves, black and white photos, a single succulent fighting for life on the windowsill. Yeah, I can see that. They sipped in silence for a moment, letting the warmth seep in. Rachel set her cup down. Why the symbols in the steam? He smiled. Lily guesses what they are. It calms her, knowing I'm watching, that I'm there. Rachel nodded slowly. What do you think of me? The question escaped before she could stop it. Raw, unfiltered. Joseph blinked, caught off guard. They say you're cold, distant, heartless. Rachel inhaled sharply, but she didn't flinch. I wasn't always, she said. I had a son, 5 years ago, complications during labor. He died. My fiancé left 6 months later, said he couldn't stand the grief. I built this empire to fill the hole. He didn't look away, didn't pity her. He just listened. Every time I hear a child laugh, Rachel whispered, something breaks inside me. But Lily, she makes it ache less. Joseph reached across the desk, his hand brushing hers. They don't see it, but I do. You hide behind reports and numbers, but you still hope. Rachel's eyes brimmed. She called me Mama once, in the lobby. I almost collapsed. You were there when she needed you, Joseph said. That's what a mother does. Silence followed. Then Rachel, voice trembling, said the words that had lived in her chest for days. I want to help raise her, if you'll let me. Joseph froze. His lips parted. Rachel, I mean it, she said. Not as a savior, not out of pity, out of love. For her, and for you. His eyes glistened. She already loves you, and I think I do too. Rachel smiled through her tears. Then maybe we can dream again. Together. By the end of the second week, Rachel no longer told herself excuses. She stayed late because she wanted to hear the quiet rhythm of a mop gliding over marble, to catch a glimpse of Joseph's silhouette through the glass, to sit beside him in shared silence, a teacup between them and the city glowing beneath their feet. But the world noticed. Whispers began, quiet at first, like rustling paper behind closed doors. Assistants who paused when Rachel passed. Executives who exchanged glances during board meetings. And then a voicemail she didn't expect. From Marcia, her mentor and oldest friend on the board. I'm worried, Rachel, about your image. People are talking. A janitor. This could damage you. The company. Think carefully, please. Rachel deleted the message without listening twice. But the seed was planted. That afternoon, she watched from her corner office as Joseph picked up Lily from Mrs. Wan's cart. The little girl ran to him, squealing, throwing her arms around his legs. He knelt down, pulled her close, and kissed the top of her head. Rachel's heart swelled and fractured all at once. Later that evening, she sat in her office chair, frozen, as he knocked gently and stepped in, Lily asleep in his arms. Her curls spilled across his shoulder. She was cold, Joseph whispered. Mrs. Wan asked if I could wait here till you finished. Rachel stood, arms crossed. Not out of anger, but because if she didn't hold herself tight, she might fall apart. You shouldn't be here, he blinked. You asked me to come in. I mean, here, with me. People are watching, Joseph. He frowned, shifting Lily carefully into one arm. So, what are you afraid they'll see? She looked away. You think I haven't fought for this company? That I didn't bleed for it? I'm the youngest female CEO in our sector. You think I got here because of kindness? Number, I clawed my way up. And now, he asked quietly, now I'm risking it all. For something no one else will understand. Joseph stepped closer. Then help me understand. Her voice was barely audible. I'm scared. Of loving you. Of losing what I built. Of them being right about me. His jaw clenched. So that's it? The whispers win? She flinched. I won't be your shame, Rachel, he said, his voice calm but firm. And I won't let Lily feel like she's a secret. The girl stirred, mumbling softly in her sleep. Daddy. Rachel's eyes softened, and she reached out to touch the child's curls. She's beautiful, she whispered. She's everything. Rachel nodded. That's why I pulled away. Because if I do this, I have to do it all the way. Not halfway, not hidden. Joseph tilted his head. Then what do you want? I want to be there when she wakes up. I want to help braid her hair. I want to pick her up from school. I want her to call me Mama, and know I mean it. Tears welled in his eyes. You really mean that? Yes, she said, but we'll have to fight for it. Together. He stepped forward and kissed her. Gentle, trembling. A promise sealed with lips and hope. The next morning, Rachel didn't hide. She walked into the lobby, holding Joseph's hand. Lily skipped ahead of them in glittery sneakers, her stuffed bunny clutched tight. The whispers were no longer whispers. They were gasps, half-hidden phones, raised brows. Rachel met every stare with a steel gaze. Let them talk, she thought. Let them wonder. Let them see. In the elevator, Joseph glanced at her nervously. Still sure? Rachel smiled. You taught me something. Dreams don't buy food, but maybe they buy smiles. He laughed softly. I said that? You did. I should write it down. You should paint it, she whispered. But the storm came. Tabloids ran with the headline, CEO in love with janitor, Archer Empire in crisis. Some of the board members called emergency meetings. Stock wavered, minimally, but enough to cause murmurs. A reporter tried to ambush Joseph in the parking garage. You feel she's rescuing you? The reporter jabbed. Taking pity? Joseph simply looked at him and replied, She doesn't rescue me. She sees me. He walked away. Inside the boardroom, Rachel stood at the head of the table, facing her stakeholders. You're all worried about appearances, she said. But here's what matters. Revenue's up 12%. Employee retention is at an all-time high, and our new charity initiative, funded personally by me, is launching next quarter. A few members exchanged looks. I am not apologizing for falling in love, she said clearly. You can vote me out if you'd like, but you'll lose more than a CEO. You'll lose the heartbeat of this company. Silence, then one slow clap. Marcia. Welcome back, her mentor said, smiling. I missed this version of you. Rachel exhaled. That night, on the rooftop terrace, Rachel found Joseph drawing again on the glass. A comet this time. Lily watched from the ground, waving wildly. Rachel slipped beside him and handed him a cup of tea. Are you still scared? He asked. Every day, she said, smiling. But now, I'm not alone. He pulled her into his arms. Neither am I. They stood in silence as the city twinkled below them and Lily's laughter echoed through the night sky like a promise. Lily's 6th birthday arrived on the wings of spring. The city, once grey and harsh, softened beneath blushing trees and warm breezes. On 12th and Maple, an old storefront, once abandoned, its windows clouded with dust and graffiti, now gleamed with promise. Hand-painted across the awning were the words, Lily's Light, Art Studio and Gallery. Inside, paper lanterns floated like stars from the ceiling. Children's laughter bubbled up like sunlight, mixing with the soft hum of acoustic guitar from a corner speaker. Paint splattered little aprons. Tiny fingers held fat brushes, and glitter dust shimmered in the air like magic pollen. At the heart of it all stood Joseph, sleeves rolled up, his jeans covered in blue and silver smudges. He bent beside a boy, struggling to draw a rocket, guiding his hand with steady warmth. Rachel stood in the doorway, in sneakers and jeans, her hair tied back. Not the power-dressed CEO, but something quieter, softer, homegrown. She watched as Joseph knelt beside a laughing Lily who was trying to paint a cat riding a unicycle. She says it's inspired by the steam cats you used to draw, Rachel said, stepping closer. Joseph chuckled. She's upgraded them. Now they perform. He turned to her, and for a moment, the room disappeared. He reached out, brushing a streak of red from her cheek. You have paint on you. I let the twins splatter me. They said it's good luck, she replied. Then you're the luckiest woman alive, he smiled. Rachel leaned into him. I already was. As the party wound down, children filtered out with canvases tucked under their arms, their faces sticky with frosting. Mrs. Wan stayed late to help clean, humming as she stacked cups. Lily was curled in the corner, asleep on a giant beanbag, her stuffed bunny cradled against her chest. Joseph knelt beside her, gently pulling a blanket over her shoulders. She had the best day. She won't remember the balloons or the cake, Rachel whispered, but she'll remember how safe she felt, that she could be loud, messy, and happy. Joseph looked up. You gave that to her? No, she corrected. We did. A quiet fell between them, broken only by the rustle of lanterns overhead. Then Joseph stood, wiped his hands, and walked toward the desk. From the drawer, he pulled a small velvet box and returned to her. Rachel's breath caught. He held it out, palms shaking. I found it a month ago, in a second-hand shop. I wasn't sure you were ready, but today felt like more than a birthday. She opened the box slowly. Inside, nestled in black velvet, was a delicate silver chain, and dangling from it, a tiny charm, a hollow heart, and inside, the faint imprint of a thumbprint. Rachel gasped. This was... My son had one just like it. I know, Joseph said. You told me once. I searched for it. Not the exact one, but this. It's a symbol that he's not lost. He led you here. To Lily. To us. Tears blurred her vision. Joseph. He took her hands. I'm not asking for anything official. I just want you to know. This is real. We're real. And no matter what the world says, this family we've built, it's enough for me. She stared down at the charm. Then slowly, she lifted it over her head and clasped it around her neck. It rested just above her heart. I never thought I'd feel whole again, she whispered. But I do. He smiled. So, is that a yes? To what? She teased. To forever. She laughed through tears. Yes, Joseph. 1,000,000 times yes. That night, they walked home under a sky littered with stars. Lily, half awake, rode on Joseph's shoulders, humming softly. Rachel held his hand, the charm cool against her skin, her soul warm with new roots. Outside their apartment, a surprise waited. Neighbors gathered with sparklers and candles. On the door hung a hand-painted sign, clearly made by a child. Welcome home, Family Archer. Lily gasped, clapping. Mama! Daddy! Look! Joseph's eyes widened. Did you? Rachel shook her head. Number, I think the building heard the story before we could tell it. He turned to her. Rachel Archer, cleaner, CEO, survivor, dreamer. What are you now? She smiled. Mother, partner, and for the first time, loved. Lily lit a sparkler and drew shapes in the air. Rachel knelt beside her. What are you drawing, sweetheart? A home, Lily said, because we found ours. Above them, fireworks cracked faintly in the distance. But the brightest light came from 3 hearts, stitched together not by blood, but by choice. And that, Rachel thought, is the strongest kind of love. The world, for a while, was kind. The studio flourished. Local news outlets featured Lily's light as a beacon of community healing. Rachel was invited to speak about emotional reinvention. Joseph's whimsical murals, laughing moons, dancing clouds, and stars with tiny hands lined library walls and children's clinics. And Lily? She bloomed. Her drawings became stories. Her laughter became louder. The girl who once clung to a stuffed bunny now spun stories at dinner, a crown of pipe cleaners on her head. But peace, Rachel had learned, is a delicate thing, and it never stays long without being tested. It started with a letter. Rachel was sorting through studio mail when she noticed the return address. Winfield Holdings, one of the corporations she had once outmaneuvered in her CEO days. Her chest tightened. Inside, the message was simple. Rachel Archer, we respectfully request your leadership in spearheading a new tech child welfare initiative. We believe your influence and experience could realign our public image and scale impact. Compensation and freedom of operation, guaranteed. Yours, Conrad Voss, President. She froze. Joseph walked in with paint on his cheek and a cup of tea. You okay? She folded the letter and tucked it behind her back. Yeah, just bills. He looked at her longer than he needed to, but didn't press. The next few days, Rachel grew quieter. She spent longer at night staring at her laptop. Lily asked why Mama was doing that tight eyes thing again. Joseph brought it up gently as they folded laundry one night. You're pulling away, he said. She didn't answer at first. Then, I was offered something. Big, global reach, life-changing money. And you're tempted, he said, not accusing, just naming it. Yes, she whispered. He looked away. You don't have to apologize for ambition. It's what built you. But I'm scared it'll destroy what we've built, she said, folding a small sock into another. What if I become who I was again? He took the socks from her hand and set them down. Then, I'll remind you who you are now. She accepted the offer on one condition: remote, part-time, and only if she could use the funds to expand Lily's light into underserved communities. Winfield agreed. The transition was manageable until it wasn't. Conference calls multiplied, deadlines sharpened. Suddenly, Rachel was awake past midnight again. Lily started to draw pictures with only Joseph in them. And one Friday night, as Rachel sat with her headset in a tense virtual meeting, Lily slipped into the studio with her bunny. The next morning, Rachel found her curled in the storage closet, asleep, paint on her cheek. "She waited for you," Joseph said. "She fell asleep thinking you'd come." Rachel knelt beside her daughter, shattered. "I promised I wouldn't disappear." "You're human," he said. "But humans make choices," she whispered. "I miss the quiet. I miss the way she smiles when I'm just there." Rachel didn't quit immediately, but she changed the rules. She delegated. She said no. She built fences around her time with iron. One Friday, she told Winfield she'd be unavailable. No emergencies, no exceptions. That night, Lily opened a gallery showing at the studio. Families in the Stars. The room was packed. Her art featured painted stick figures, holding hands with constellations swirling overhead. Rachel stood beside Joseph, her arm around Lily. "I like that one," Rachel said, pointing to a messy painting of 3 figures under a sky full of glitter. "That's you," Lily said. "And me, and Daddy, and the sparkles are promises." "What kind of promises?" Joseph asked. "That we don't break, even if we get scared, even if we fight. We always come back." Rachel's throat tightened. She knelt. "Did you think we broke?" Lily shook her head. "Number, but I think sometimes you need glue. Daddy's glue is hugs. Yours is time. My glue is stars." Rachel laughed softly. "That's good glue." Lily leaned in. "You're not working tonight, right?" "No, baby. Tonight, I'm just your mama." Joseph pulled them both into a hug. That's all she ever needed. Later, as dusk softened the city, Rachel and Joseph sat on the studio's rooftop, knees touching, the world humming below. "I thought I had to choose between building and belonging," she said. Joseph shook his head. "You don't have to carry it alone." She leaned into him. "I forget that sometimes. That's why I'm here, to remind you." Just then, Lily appeared, sleepy-eyed. Rachel opened her arms. Lily curled into her lap. Over the foggy window, someone had drawn 3 smiling stars, holding hands. Lily pointed. "Look," Magic Rachel smiled. "It always was." Then the storm came. Not thunder, but a letter. Cold ink. Lily's name misspelled. Rachel read it aloud. "Petition for biological custody. Evelyn Mercer." Joseph froze. "Anna's mother. She never called. Why now?" "Because she smells stability," Joseph said. "Because we finally built something worth taking." In court, Evelyn wore pearls and polished grief. "I deserve a connection to what remains." "She didn't even come to Anna's funeral," Joseph said. Her lawyer added, "The child is living with a man with no permanent address, supported by a partner who recently left a high-stress job." Rachel stood. "I left that job to raise Lily, to give her love, a home." The judge listened, but Rachel saw how his gaze lingered on Joseph's worn shoes, his calloused hands. Back home, they sat in silence. "I couldn't survive losing her," Joseph whispered. "You won't," Rachel said. "We fight." At dawn, Lily woke them, holding a drawing. Her, Joseph, and Rachel in superhero capes. "We save each other." At the final hearing, the judge reviewed letters from neighbors, teachers, even the hot dog vendor who wrote, "They're the best thing this block ever had." Then he looked at Lily. Where do you feel safe, sweetheart? Lily pointed without hesitation. With them. Always. The gavel struck. Custody granted. No changes. The adoption stands. Outside, Joseph crumpled to the curb, overcome. Rachel knelt beside him. We're still here. She's still ours. Lily wrapped her arms around him. Did we win? Joseph smiled through tears. We did. 1 year later, Lily's light art studio was alive with laughter. Joseph guided little hands through paint, while Rachel, now in sneakers and joy, watched with pride. Lily's 6th birthday brought cake, lanterns, and a velvet box. Close your eyes, Joseph said. Inside, a silver charm, 2 stars, and a heart. 1 star had Rachel's late son's initials, the other, Lily's. The heart? Home, Rachel gasped. You remembered? I never forgot, Joseph whispered. You saved me. And Lily, let me give you forever. He knelt. Marry me, Rachel Archer? Tears welled. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Lily leapt between them. Mama, Daddy! They hugged, arms tangled, hearts whole. Above the door, the sign read, Home is where the heart heals. And beneath it, a family stood. Once broken, now whole. Wow, what a lovely ending. Thanks for staying with me till the end. If this story touched your heart, subscribe for more true tales of love, resilience, and second chances. Don't forget to share. Stay inspired. Always.